We aren't even 10 minutes into the movie yet, and the sequel is already being set up. Then, when they're done with all that, we see Marlon Brando, who is just now realizing that he probably should have read the script at least once before they started filming. Other than that, though, he's killing it for somebody who has no idea what the hell's going on. Then somebody hands him a random ass baby, so he does what's only natural and launches that little guy into outer space. Princess Leia's home planet of Alderaan is blown up, and one spiky disco ball later, we end up in the middle of Kansas. And instead of reporting this random kid who just emerged from a meteorite to any specialists or government officials or anything, Martha treats him like a stray dog and asks if they can keep it. Years later, we see that same random kid is now a teenager, but apparently being a superhuman alien makes it a little hard to fit in at school. And we see that he's developed some social anxiety problems because of that, leading to the awkward Clark Kent we know and love. But despite his trouble with social interaction, Clark is holding down a steady job and is really trying his best. In fact, Clark has actually made a new couple of friends at work named Lois and Jimmy. And then there's this guy named Lex Luthor, who's confident enough in social situations, but is very self-conscious about his hair, or lack thereof, and has developed some pretty serious self-doubt issues because of his appearance. And as you might know, when it really comes down to it, this Superman movie isn't about a superhero versus an evil mastermind. It's actually an inspiring story about dealing with social anxiety and self-perception issues. And just like Clark Kent, Lex Luthor has a couple of friends as well. Their names are Cleavage and Comic Relief. Anyways, not too long afterwards, Clark Kent finally strips down into his leotard and reveals himself as Superman. A rescue here, a burglar there, things are looking pretty good for Superman until he does a little bit of breaking and entering and now is technically a felon. Now that Superman is here anyways, Lex Luthor decides to take the opportunity to explain to him that he's recently bought a house in California, and he has some pretty annoying neighbors, but rather than contacting the HOA, Lex is going to deal with him by himself by wiping half the state completely off the map. After a little chit chat about nuclear missiles and whatnot, Lex Luthor decides to show Superman his new shiny green rock necklace that he bought from some spiritual hippies underneath the freeway. But this doesn't vibe right with Superman's heart chakra, so he decides it's probably best to keep his distance. At this point, we realize that even though Superman is an almighty alien life form with a whole bunch of super sweet powers, the one thing that growing up in Kansas never really prepared him for was a swimming pool. Say all you want about kryptonite being Superman's ultimate weakness, I think it's really just bodies of water that are more than 4 feet deep. Meanwhile, Lois Lane is a pretty reckless driver, and now she's worried that she'll be facing some nasty insurance premiums later on in the sequel that they set up at the beginning of this film. Superman is also understandably upset by this too, and does the one and only thing he can think of to save Lois from expensive auto insurance. He Ferris Bueller's the Earth into taking some miles off by spinning it in reverse.
Whatever miles we put on, we'll take off.
How?
We'll drive home backwards.
His Ferris Bueller tactic somehow works, and Superman is able to save Lois's car just in time. They're both pretty relieved after avoiding the whole situation, but there's one last thing Superman has to do. He then makes sure Lex Luthor apologizes to his neighbors for trying to obliterate them with nuclear missiles. So remember kids, just because you might have some noisy neighbors, no matter how annoying they might be, there is no reason to cause a nuclear apocalypse over it. And the end.